This is Heavy Conversation with Bruce and Jody, a podcast where we talk about being a big guy in today's world. I'm Bruce. And I'm Jody. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Bruce.
Jody.
How's it going?
Today is a special day, and I'm really excited because, you know, we've done this for almost 4 years now. And
oh my God.
I know. Since
flies.
Since olden times, like
the before times.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what would it be, BC before COVID?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I guess that works. Yeah. So yes. So it's been a long time. And today is a monumental day because it is the very first time that we've ever had a guest.
Woo, applause.
And yes. And that's big for us because it's just something that you know, it's really just the two of us talking about.
Yeah. We're sick of each other by now.
Right. I mean, 3 years, so many episodes.
No, I'm not sick of you yet, Bruce, but we just wanted to, change it up a little bit. We've been having conversations for however long we've been doing it, and we wanted to add another voice in. And we have a special guest and a kind of a special topic that we're going to get into here in just a little bit, and I'm excited.
Yes. So maybe we should talk about the topic before we introduce our guest. A little bit of kind of, the from a high level, we're going to be talking about selfies, nudes, sexy photos, all the things that a lot of masculine folks don't really talk about or don't really know how to fit into their world. I mean, sure. I'm sure that most people listening here have taken some kind of sexy photo or a selfie,
Well, I don't know how appropriate those photos might be. They might be the unsolicited type of pics that they're probably taking and sending to people.
Super close up of some junk or something.
Yeah.
Right.
The very unflattering pictures of your junk.
Right.
Don't do that.
So, it feels like the right time to kind of talk about how can you do that better? How can you use selfies or even photos that other people take to make you feel better about your body?
Yeah,
give
absolutely.
You more confidence. And it's something that we don't discuss that often. And when we do talk about, I keep saying sexy photos, maybe our guest will have a better way to talk about it. But when you try to do those kinds of photos when you're a bigger guy, it's usually ends up being something that's silly. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about that and kind of how, what else is out there, what other options are there, and how do you find more confidence with all of that? And we're going to have to figure out a quicker and easier way to describe what this episode's about.
That's all right. I love it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited.
Yes. So our guest, Beth Olson. Beth, thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Hi. I'm going to read your bio here because I want everybody to know about you and know that you are uniquely qualified to talk about all this stuff that we're going to talk about.
Uniquely qualified.
Yes. So Beth is a body image activist and portrait photographer who lives in Portland, Oregon. A weird, fat, queer, nerdy, curious, silly, dog obsessed horror movie lover with a technicolored soul in a mostly black wardrobe. She's passionate about building community, ADHD and neurodiversity advocacy, and crushing the patriarchy under the heel of her Converse. She also has a bit of a potty mouth and a pretty legit plan for the zombie apocalypse. So Beth, you're perfect for the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Wow, big round of applause on all of that.
Yes, that was awesome. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for joining us. And we've known each other for a while now, and I've always been really super impressed with your work. We've been able to work together on some things for Chubster, a few different photo shoots, and some cool stuff that I guess by the time this comes out will actually be out. A really cool video shoot that was a lot of fun that you can check out on chubster.com. So yeah, thanks for joining us and for talking about selfies and boudoir.
Oh yeah, I love it.
So maybe we can just kind of start by talking about how you got into body positive portrait photography. I mean, there's a lot within that, but maybe it's a pretty specific kind of thing that you do that I think a lot of people might not even know is really a thing.
Yeah. I think I was kind of in the same place that a lot of people are, where I was just like full on like diet culture, like, a focus on like just this constant looming in the background of like, I need to lose weight, I need to exercise more, I need to, all of the stuff we're told is like what you're supposed to do. And there was a project that came about in Portland with a bunch of like plus size folks to do a calendar. So a bunch of photo shoots and a calendar. I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And it was like my first experience with people who were like radical fat people who were just like, oh yeah, you can just decide that you're not going to play into that anymore. You can just make the decision that you're going to start loving your body the way it is, and that you have value regardless of like the way your body looks or your health situation or any of this stuff. And it blew my mind. And I was like, I need more of this. Like, it completely altered my entire world. Like, this idea that like I can just be worthy of living a life that I love, and I don't have to wait to like have a smaller body to do it. So I've just been really like studying that and surrounding myself with people who are, excited about that and learning everything I can. And I kind of became like so passionate about it that I was able to take my other passion, and then I only wanted to do everything I was doing with like my creativity and my photography through that lens. That's so like, it's kind of, I was like, how can I like mash these two things together and just do that? So I was like, I don't know, I guess I'll just do it. We'll see if other people are interested.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I love when I hear people like finding a passion and then like, or being able to use their passion in their work.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to hear that. Like, sometimes it's really hard to find a way to make money off of whatever you're, passionate about. So
Yeah, for sure.
congrats to you. I love that. And I love the radical fatness. I love hearing that, and just being okay in your body. And I think that's something that I kind of ebb and flow with on different days. I'm super comfortable in my body most of the time, and then every once in a while it dips down and I'm like, okay, come back out of there. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a work in progress, I think, for me. But
For everybody. I don't think that anybody, there's not a final destination in that. And I think that's where people take a look at like body positivity and that entire concept. And it's just like, for a lot of folks, myself included, from where I'm starting at having a very difficult time with my body, looking to this idea of like, I'm going to love my body, that feels like a jump that is just too far to make. Like, it's hard to even wrap your head around being in that place. And so I actually really like the idea of body kindness or body neutrality, where it's not so much about like loving your body every day and like thinking you're the best thing on the face of the planet. It's really about being like, my body is what it is, and it gets me through the day, and it's taken me a lot of places, and it's not the entirety of who I am as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And I deserve happiness and an amazing life and love and all the things that I want, because I'm a human being who's a good person.
Right.
And my body is just one part of that. Yeah.
I think that kind of goes along with like queerness too. Like, not everything that you are. So it's kind of like you're kind of mashing all of those things together, and presenting yourself, and being happy or content on some days, just being content with yourself. And I like that.
Yeah. You can just drag yourself out of like the intense self-hatred.
Oh,
like,
yes.
It's a good day.
Yeah. Those inner voices have pretty much gone away. The negative self-talk has gone away, but
yeah, exactly.
That's definitely that's definitely a everyday kind of thing. Those daily affirmations on my phone, that app really helps. I love it.
That shit works. It works. Like, I thought it was a bunch of like woo woo, like no, but it does.
Yeah. Just reading it and saying it to yourself, you're like, oh, okay, just cancels out some of the negative words. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is really interesting that how much of a difference photos of yourself, seeing good photos of yourself can make, just in how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself. And I think especially for fat people to be able to see themselves in a positive light. And I know
Mhm.
that, I'm sure Jody with bare skin, you definitely see that and get those kind of messages. And I know with Chubster, it's been one of those things for me, and whether it's, been me in photos or in things that I've done, or featuring other people, and them being seen in a positive way. We look at, we look at, I don't know, advertising or the fashion industry in general, and you're seeing people who don't look like you in most cases, and they're trying to sell you clothes that, but they don't show someone who looks like you wearing them. Those things are changing little by little, but it's just like, it makes such a big difference to be able to see yourself represented, or to just, in a more personal way, just see photos of yourself where you look good and you're happy, and you're showing that your body is valid and that your size doesn't matter. And it really feels like looking at your work that you, that is important to you, and you get that across in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just something that when I look at the work you do, you can see kind of that joy, and I think you bring that out in people. And I don't know, I love that. And I think one of the things that is really interesting to me is, you do boudoir photos, and you do plus size boudoir, and it's something that, sometimes I've heard, people who are, I'm sure you've heard good and bad and everything in between, from, trolls and whatever, as you put things out there. But you'll hear people who are like, well, why do you need to do plus size boudoir? Why is that important? Why are having those kind of photos important? Do you think you could talk a little bit about that, kind of what?
Yeah, sure. I think that there's a lot to that, but in my experience, what it comes down to really is the photos are just one aspect of the experience, where for a lot of people, it's the first time that they're really being seen as like valuable human beings who are worthy of like being the focus of art. Like as large bodied people, we spend so much of our time trying to make ourselves smaller and, not take up so much space and not be too loud, and just all these things to try to make up for, quote unquote, this idea of being too much or too big or too whatever. And so I think the opportunity to be in front of a camera and, get gassed up a little bit, has somebody like really just focused on you, and having an artist, having a creative be able to see you and your body outside of all the other things that come with that, like just having an artist be able to look at you and be like, you are beautiful, your body is beautiful, these textures, these rolls, these shapes are like objectively beautiful when put in this light, when matched with like the energy and the emotion that's happening. It all kind of comes together into this like really unique experience that just happens to kind of have photos as like a souvenir. In my, on my take, not everybody feels that way, but
Right. So it's more about the journey than the destination, kind of.
yeah, I think for a lot of people, you come in and you're like, okay, I'm going to be sexy, whatever that means. And for a lot of people, like, they're like, I don't know. So I'm going to go to a boudoir photographer, and they're going to help pose me and guide me. And that's awesome. Like, that is the experience some people are looking for. For me and some other photographers who kind of have this like body positive focus on boudoir, I think that it's more about like, what is sexy to you? Like, what is it that you want to feel? Because maybe, it's not like making eyes at the camera and like pouting your lips and, like, I don't know, lacy teddies or whatever. Like it's really an individual thing, I think, for people. And so to come to a photographer who will also who isn't going to be like, this is what sexy looks like and this is what we're going to have you do.
Yeah.
To have somebody who's willing to work with you and be like, okay, let's talk about this. When was the last time you really thought about what turns you on? Like, what do you, how do you feel sexy or seen, or, you know? So I think I forgot what the question was, but we'll go down this road.
No, that was great. I love that. I think we've being at Bearskin and trying to photograph bigger guys or bigger people, we go through that a lot because people sometimes come in with what they think they need to do, and they're trying to be sexy, and I'm like, I just want you to just be comfortable, and then you'll be sexy.
Exactly.
Like getting them out of their head is a big thing that we have to kind of work with. We do all this pre-work before we even do the photo shoot. We like meet up with them and just have conversations, and just because sometimes just coming in and stripping down and getting in your underwear, it may be a little awkward and
just a little bit
uncomfortable. I mean, maybe some people know, but we do that before work, and then we just literally try to have conversations with the model, talk about whatever's going on, if they're into gaming or whatever, and just kind of direct a little bit about positions and stuff, because we're trying to do, it's a little different than what you're doing. We're trying to sell some underwear, but it's also about their bodies and them being comfortable, because you can definitely tell when they're not. And then that reads through in the picture. So just and we've gotten so much feedback from a lot of our models that they're like, I can't believe I did that, but I felt so empowered afterwards, and like my confidence was just through the roof. And then they start seeing those photos everywhere, and they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe people are responding so well to these photos all the time. And my friends are talking about it, or random people have seen these pictures, and they're it's really awesome when you can capture that confidence in the photos. I think, to me, that's what's sexy, is you being confident. So whatever way you can kind of portray that in a photo, if you're being confident and comfortable in your body, then that really shows through in the pictures.
And that's really cool to hear, because I don't think that there's any reason that doing photos of a person for marketing should really be any different. Like, I don't think you should take the humanity out of marketing photos. I think that like the most effective ones are going to be, and a lot of marketers have not caught up to this yet, but we want to see our own bodies. We want to see people who look like us. We are over this idea of like aspirational, like, I don't want to see, I want to see what I'm going to look like. Clothes. I want to see
bodies,
my life reflected. I want to see somebody who's goofy and silly and weird and like awkward, but they're doing the thing, like I want to see that in the marketing. Like I will buy your shit if I can see myself in it. And absolutely. If you have like models who have had that humanity kind of taken out of it, and it's just very posed. Very like
kind of, they look dead inside a little bit. They're just like, so posed.
So I really like what the point you made about boudoir not having to be like a fuzzy teddy or something like that, because I know that people who aren't familiar with it, that's the first thing you go to, and you're like, so the fact that it doesn't have to be that way is really interesting. And it kind of leads into something else that I wanted to talk about, which is that you don't see a lot of men doing this, or when you do, especially big men, but when you do, a lot of times it's portrayed as a silly thing. You get like dudeoir photos, whatever, and you don't see as much of the, I don't know, like the seriousness and kind of the beauty
kind of
of
art.
the whole thing. The art, right. And why do you think that is?
I think that, again, it comes down to this, these stereotypes of like what's expected of us as like fat people or large body people or plus size people. And a very common, place for us to exist is in the funny sphere, right? Where like, if we're the reason that everybody's laughing, then they're not laughing at us. and it's intentional and I wanted them to laugh. So I think it definitely shows up a lot in these like funny dudeoir photo shoots where they feel like if they want to be sexy, they have to make it funny so that people they're going to laugh at me. So at least if it's funny, then I meant for them to laugh at me rather than kind of being really vulnerable and just being like, hey, no, I want to exist in my body too. And that's not to say that it's not okay to do those. Like if that's your personality and you want to like do that, but don't make that be the only time that you're going to let yourself be out there. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Mix it up.
Yeah, I think
all the things.
I think there's so much of that. And I also think there's this extra layer of masculinity and what that is supposed to be. Like, it's something we talk about a lot on the show, is just that, you know, we've been told for all of our lives that to be masculine is this one thing and it has to be this one specific box, and that isn't the case, and that it's getting out of that can be difficult. And for me, I think a lot about photos that I'll see in like GQ or Esquire or some kind of magazine like that, where you've got like, I don't know, Matthew McConaughey coming up out of the pool, you know, water flying off of him looking fantastic. I want to see a fat guy doing something like that and have it not be a silly thing. You know, those kind of things I think are really interesting to me. And it really is just this thing where I can't really think of many instances of something like that where a bigger person is treated, I would say especially a bigger masculine person is treated that same way, where it's art, where it's, keep coming back to the word sexy, where it's whatever, this thing that's supposed to be attractive and wanted, and instead of being silly. And it's just like, man, we need more of that, and we need to be allowed to be open for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm saying that I want to be shot coming up out of a pool with like water.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you're saying that you want to,
Yes.
I know, I was just
planning a photo shoot. All right.
thinking about that in my head too. I'm like, how do I want to pose?
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
I want to be.
That's the thing, is it's like, I love the idea of, I think the thing that I really love about working with photographers and modeling, as I've done it over the years, is like kind of giving yourself to having enough trust with a person to give yourself over to let them kind of guide you. And Beth, it's one of the things that I love about like watching you work with a shoot we did recently, is just like the way that you can talk to somebody and kind of, you know, tell them what you're looking for and what, you know, what you want them to do, and let them kind of do that and kind of do it on their own within what is comfortable to them. And it's so cool to see how you approach that and kind of how you what comes out of it, you know, and see what ends up. I don't know. I love that.
The key is to give them lots and lots of like very specific directions, so they're a little confused and too busy trying to remember what you told them to be nervous in front of the camera. And now you know all my secrets.
I was like, don't give away all the secrets.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, you see this kind of silly dudeoir thing and all of that. And it's, I feel like the next step is really to figure out, how do you make it more serious? How do you get people to do that or to see that? And I guess it's really, you go out and make your own thing, I guess, is the answer to all of this, which, I mean, here we all are. We've kind of taken a thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's pretty much across the board. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Maybe we're gonna have to get together, all three of us, and she's gonna have to do some serious, a little bit more serious dudeoir in quotes photos of us. And maybe that can be our the heavy conversation calendar or new promo shots.
There we go. I love it.
I want April. That's all I know. That's
perfect. Yeah. So we've kind of talked about this, and let's maybe, if people are wanting to take baby steps, we could talk about selfies. I mean, you know,
selfies are a
Yeah.
great way to, because I think a big part of this is, yes, having professional photos done where you have somebody who's like posing you in the quote unquote right way and is like taking lots of flattering like angles and stuff. It's important to be able to see yourself that way too, to know that your body looks like that from those angles. But I also think that all of those photos that we take of ourselves, of our bodies from the angles that we're like, whoa, nope, I'm going to delete that and never think of it again. Those I think are actually really, really important if you're wanting to do the work to be more accepting of your body, because the way we see ourselves is so specific to like the 8 seconds that we're like really like posing with our best face in the mirror. So our brain thinks that that's what we look like, and we do not look like that. Not ever. Not in front of our friends, not in front of the people who love us. Like,
Yeah.
we look more like all those photos that we're deleting. Right. And so
Right.
I think that selfies are such a cool way to be able to see what our bodies look like in motion, what they look like when they're hunched over, when we're not smiling for the camera or flexing our muscles, or, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think looking at those images, as often as we look at the flattering ones, we get a more whole picture of who we are and what we look like. And there's something that happens in the brain, which is like an actual like rewiring of the brain, as we see a variety of not just images of the way we look, but the way bodies can look in general. And that's a really powerful tool for being able to advance like our own like body acceptance. And so I think selfies are a really powerful tool for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get a lot of customer like generated content for our business. A lot of customers just send in photos of themselves in their underwear, which is great, and I love that. That's kind of a big part of Bearskin's mission, is making people more comfortable in their own skin. And I love it. But every once in a while there are some, and I'm like, if you are confident enough to send it, I'm gonna post it. Like, I don't, I don't, as long as it's actually showing the product and not
Yeah.
too vulgar for Instagram or whatever. But I'm like, yes, please send me those photos. And I get so many, they're like, well, how should I pose, or what should I do? And I'm like, however you feel comfortable and whatever you want to send me, I'm going to share it, as long as it's showing the product and not vulgar. That's the only thing that those are my only requirements. And yeah, we get so many submissions, and I love that kind of stuff.
So I know you've just talked a lot about not posing, just kind of being yourself, being natural. But for anyone who's really just kind of starting out and trying to figure out what to do, I mean, what do you have any tips?
Oh, sure. I think a lot of it has to do with lighting. So using natural light and facing a window. So you put the camera closer to the window and then between you and the window, basically, so that you're getting that natural light on your skin. If you face the window directly, so like square onto the window, then you have like nice, soft, flat light. And if you turn yourself and the camera like 45 degrees away from the window light, then you get lots of like really moody and light, and you can play around with shadows. And in there, if you've got areas of your body that you haven't reached full acceptance of yet, you can really play around with those in a cool way to sort of minimize areas that you maybe aren't quite there yet with, or you can use them to accentuate areas. So if you want to like turn around with the little booty shots, those work really great with side light. So yeah, lighting is a really big one with that. Otherwise, it's a lot of like just experimenting with the way that you pose. And like Jody was saying, if you look at like, were you talking about like the magazines?
Bruce was talking
Oh,
about
it was
that, but
Bruce,
yeah.
yeah. So looking through magazines and seeing like some of the poses that like the guys are doing in there and just recreating them and starting from there and then tweaking them for your body, just to kind of see, that's a great way to start.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it really does seem like, especially if you're trying to love your body, taking selfies is a really good way to take a step forward, kind of see yourself and just get a better feel and get more comfortable. Hopefully, get more comfortable with yourself.
Well, and sometimes it will take a while. Not sometimes, it will always take a while. It's not an easy process, but whether it's for fun or more for, like the specific purpose of trying to get more comfortable with your body, I think they're a really valuable way to just be able to take those steps forward, because you don't have to plan anything. It doesn't cost any extra money. You don't even have to, there's no waiting. It's like very instant gratification for that thing.
Nice. Yeah. So we've been talking for a long time, and normally we drink a beer, and it's usually we have some kind of beverage that we have with each episode. And so I actually got a special beer. Yes. So I went on a beer run. Every so often we go and pick up a whole bunch of stuff, and so I went and got this is called Deliria. So there is, yeah. So this is a different version of, I think it's usually Delirium.
The big bottles.
Yeah. And they've got the pink elephant, and it's if I recall, it's a very strong beer. And so this is a Belgian ale. It is Deliria, and I admit that I did not do any research into anything about this before I got it, but it says it is brewed by women and enjoyed by all. And it looks like proceeds go to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, which I thought was kind of cool. And I'm always trying to drink some kind of new and different beer, new to me and different beer.
Yeah.
So
are you a Belgian lover?
Belgian
beer lover?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I really have to be in the mood. I would say the only thing that I don't particularly love as far as beer goes is I'm not a big like heavy coffee stout fan on a regular basis. That said, I've had a couple that have been phenomenal. I'm pretty open to trying anything. So yeah, I'm gonna.
All right. That one says its color and appearance is a pale blonde color and fine creamy white head, which clings to the glass.
Oh, it's a Belgian, that's for sure.
I don't know, what is that, a good Belgian? What does that mean?
Belgians all have this taste that reminds me of, I don't know, the closest thing. We're so bad at describing our beers. We've got 170 episodes of like bad descriptions for beers, but this is like, it tastes like a bottle conditioned, like a beer that was, it was brewed in a bottle. It's bottle conditioned beer. I mean, this isn't a can, so that doesn't count. Obviously, that's not what I'm tasting here, but it's like, I feel like a lot of Belgians are a few steps away from like homebrew kind of beers. I don't know.
Okay.
They've got like kind of a yeasty character.
Yes. That's exactly it. A yeasty character. Yeah. You're gonna have to just we're gonna have to have you come on and describe all of our beers, because
I mean, I do love beer.
Yes, perfect.
It says on Untapped, which we put all of our beers on, the taste is very full-bodied and is balanced with fruity tones of apple and Chardonnay grapes. Did you get?
I'm not getting it. No,
okay.
That's a big no. But
Deliria has a fine, mild bitterness aftertaste, and its aftertaste. And mild bitterness in its aftertaste.
Okay, maybe I get that. It's just got, Belgians have a real specific flavor, a specific taste.
It's like yeasty bananas.
Yes. Yes. And this is it's mighty yeasty
bananas.
Yep. That's all right. I mean, hey, it's not going to slow me down. I will enjoy it. So yes.
Were you able to get a beer at all, Beth?
No, I
No?
have
Or a
a
beverage?
fine vintage of black cherry sparkling water.
Hey,
That's good too.
that is okay because you know, behind the scenes, yes, we record these usually around 11 a.m. So not the greatest time to drink a bunch of beer. So
Well, I have the Athletic Brewing again, the
ooh.
NA beer, the IPA, which I really love. I have a
Oh
bunch of
yeah,
these
how
here.
is that?
They're really good. A
It
lot,
is,
Like
pretty much all of the
truly
Athletic.
good? Like it tastes
yes,
like
Yes, it
beer?
tastes like a
Really? Okay,
beer.
I'll have to try that.
of
Interesting.
any of the non-alcoholic beers that we've had, a lot of them taste like paste, but
Hmm.
that one, it's great. It's the very,
Yeah.
it is the closest to a real beer. It's like a light IPA, but it's great. It's really good.
Okay,
So
interesting.
yeah. So
Yeah, I'm excited. They have a couple of, they had the Pilsner as well. I think I had that one was really good too. So
yes. So yeah, follow our list on Untapped, the heavy conversation beer list. It has many beers on it, good, bad, and in between. We've definitely run the spectrum. So yeah. Yes. So sorry, I had to take another drink. Apologies.
I was like, so,
Yeah.
and then what?
I know. That was bad timing on my part. Yeah. So we've talked about boudoir. We've talked about dudeoir. We've talked about taking selfies and kind of finding ways to be more comfortable. And you know, one other thing I just wanted to say about selfies that I think, you know, we have been talking about you know, taking naked selfies, taking you know, pictures of yourself unclothed, and doing that to get more comfortable with your body. But you don't necessarily have to start that way if you're not there yet. You know, you don't have to
Yeah,
do
you
that.
can
But
be whatever kind of clothed, unclothed, sexually negligee, fluffy things,
right,
whatever you want to be wearing. I think just be taking the photos to get more comfortable in your body and see what angles are working for you. You can even do that as prep work for going to a professional and getting photos done, like just being comfortable kind of posing or having photos taken of you, even if it's in the privacy of your own home and for yourself. I think that's some kind of good work that everyone should do, just kind of. And I liked how, Beth, you said something about, you know, even those bad ones are really good, just so that you see yourself in the way you actually are, and not, you know, just like the highlight reels that we're seeing from everyone's Instagrams or whatever. You know, they take 50 million photos to get that one photo.
Mhm.
I think it's important to, even if you're not going to post them, that's fine, but just having those photos and kind of sitting in there and
So look at
observing those
them.
photos.
Look
Yeah,
back at
look at
them.
the photos.
The more you look at them, the less shocking they are to your brain, and the more whole photo or whole image you have of what you actually look like. It becomes less, your brain becomes less like freaked out when it sees those images. And I actually did this really interesting I guess experiment where I took like a classic photo with my phone, you know, down below. So it's like up the nose, like 12 chins, like something that normally I probably would have deleted. And instead of deleting it, I put it on my phone as the background.
Oh, okay.
And for a year,
wow.
that was the picture that came up every single time. And let me tell you, after the first 6 or 8 weeks, my brain did not even like register it. And that is probably the biggest step in like my like self-acceptance that has ever happened, because like just that constant like seeing from that angle, it wasn't that I'm like, well, at least I won't ever look like that. It truly was like, okay, that's what I look like from that angle. And it was like burned into my brain that that's just another way that I look. One singular moment. That's it.
That's how children see me.
Yeah,
That's how the
exactly.
kids see me.
Well,
When
that
I
was
look
the
down
big
at
thing,
them.
is we were talking about that, and like we might hate that picture of ourselves, but anyone shorter than us, and especially if you have children, that's you to them.
Yeah.
Like that's what you look like. Yeah, I just thought that was so fascinating.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. You take those photos and you kind of sit with them and keep them, and
Mhm.
yeah, Yeah. I
And
like
so
that.
that's part of like the way that I shoot. People actually get the entire set of images, the ones that they love, and also the ones that are a little harder for them to look at, for the express purpose of them being able to go back and look at them. Because not just looking at them, but even over time, like I look at images that I'm like, oh my God, at the time I was like, delete that. And 5 years later, I'm looking back and being like, that's so cute. I don't know. I can't even remember why I was like mad about that picture,
Mhm.
And so like having this record, whether it's selfies or professional photos or whatever, like having a record that you were here and you were worthy and you had friends and you existed, like I don't know. I think that shit's really important.
Yeah, I think it's
love
more
that.
important now than ever. I think
Mhm.
we were kind of talking before. I'm like, wait, have we ever actually met in person? Like, I feel all these Zoom calls and all that stuff is getting to our depleting our connections to other people, and
Mhm.
yeah, having that connection to yourself is really important as well. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Beth, thank you for doing this. It's been really cool to just kind of get to talk to somebody and to have our very first guest on the show. I think yes. So where can people find you online and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I do commercial work, product and things for small businesses at betholsoncreative.com. My focus with that, again, is body image. So you get discounts if you use minority like models, so people we don't see in media very often. If you're looking for something a little more personal, like intimate portraits, then you can find me at alchemyportraits.com. And just a little heads up that there are not safe for work images on there. And there's not a lot of men, just because obviously, like each person's images are their own. And if, not a lot of people are wanting to share those all over the internet. But if you have questions and you want to see other images, I do have permission to share them directly with people who are interested. So I can share those with you if you get a hold of me.
That's great.
Awesome.
And we will put the link to both of those in the show notes, so that people can find their way over.
And if people have questions, like it doesn't have to be, for hire. Like if you just have questions or want to talk, shoot me a message. I'm happy to chat about stuff.
That's awesome.
Yay.
Yes. Well, cool. Well, yeah. Thank you again, Beth, for doing this. And yeah, we're going to have to do it again. We'll have to cover some other things. I think there's a lot between photography and beer and...
Well, you've promised to do a photo session now, right? So
yes, there we go. Yes.
We'll have to work that out into our schedules.
Okay.
Awesome. Perfect.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to our very first guest show. So we've got episodes every week, so definitely tune in to next week. Yes. Thanks, Bruce.
Jody, as always, it's wonderful to see you across it.
I know. We have to get together soon.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Heavy Conversation. Be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.